What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another DC Unchained video. Alright, so in this one we're going to be taking a look at Enchantress here. So I have her at S rank, and I've played around with her a little bit now, so I'm just going to give you my kind of thoughts on the character and what I think would be a good way to build her up. So let's go ahead and hop right into the active skills here. So these are the three skills that I generally like to have equipped when questing. You can switch them around a little bit. I find that having the life absorption can be nice if you change it out for the evil presence. And you can change it out for the evil presence, especially if you don't have this gear leveled up that makes the attack cast instantly, because she takes way too much damage when letting that skill charge up to attack, because it does have a very long startup time. So the demonic lure is nice just because it has a good range, and it also pushes her back a little bit from the enemies, so it's quite nice to have. And if you pair that up with the life absorption, after she does life absorption and she uses the demonic lure, I find that most of the time it'll push her into the heal, so you'll be able to pick it up that way when you're on autoplay. And then we have the Eternal Curse, just because it is extremely good at keeping the enemies cursed and also building up the level of your curses as well, which is going to help significantly increase her damage. So that's kind of why I went with these skills here. And then of course her ultimate skill is nice to have. It has a lot of range. Again, it has a longer startup time, especially for a kind of EX or ultimate skill. So I was quite surprised on that, but it's still a nice skill to use if you don't want to, if you don't really have her on autoplay, so you can keep your EX kind of built up enough to make sure that you're safe if you need to switch out. But overall, I don't know, I find that using the regular skills is a little bit better for her, especially on autoplay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the gears here. So for the first skill, the gear that I decided to go with is the one that makes it so they cannot use basic attacks for 6 seconds when they get hit. And that's actually really nice, because if you're playing against just regular PvE content, most of the time they're going to be using basic attacks if you're fighting just one of the little normal enemies and not one of the elite or bosses. But then again, the elite and bosses don't use their special moves very often. So if you get their basic attacks sealed, they pretty much just stand there and do nothing, and you get some free hits on them. So it's quite nice for PvE that way. For PvP, I'm not sure if it's going to make a huge difference, because most of the time you're just going to be using your skills anyway. The other ones we have over here increases the cast time, which is nice, and then the recast time is reduced as well, so that can be nice for making the skill a little bit quicker. But this is one of her quicker animating skills, actually, even without having that equipped, so still is going to be quick enough. But all of her skills have so much of a delay at the start, so it is kind of annoying in that respect to kind of play her. And then the other one over here increases the maximum hits to 8, as well as increasing the attack range, which is another nice one as well, especially for PvE and PvP content, because you can catch the enemies from a further distance away. And then of course increasing your hits, you're going to get a little more damage out of it. So all of these are decent, but I think the first or the third one are going to be the main skills that you want to go with, or the main gears. And then next we have the skill where she does the head grab and then makes that kind of like vortex in the middle of the screen. So the gear that I decided to go with, and that it leveled up all the way, is the one that makes it cast immediately, and it adds bleed damage. And this just really helps, because this is by far, I believe, her slowest animating skill from when she starts to use the skill to where it actually damages the enemy. And having this cast immediately just helps this skill so much, because she takes a lot of damage just standing there waiting for that skill to cast. So especially on autoplay, you can lose like half of your health just waiting for this skill to animate. So having this really helps her survivability, and also just to protect her a little bit more, because you can get the damage off right away. Over here we have increased damage and decrease their defense, which is nice, but like I said, you really need that increased cast speed. And then this one just creates a wider kind of vortex to draw on enemies, which is also nice, but I still think this middle gear here is going to be the best one for that particular skill. Next up we have the Eternal Curse here. So the one I decided to go with is just the one that amplifies the strength of the curses, so it just makes them a little bit more potent. The other one over here is all curse times increased by 5 seconds, which is nice. That might be a little bit better for like PvP, but in PvE you're generally going to kill the enemies fast enough or be able to reapply the curse that you don't really need to worry about that increased duration or the duration of the curse. Next over here we have a level 3 bleed is always applied and damage increases slightly, which is nice. You get a little extra bleed damage and then just a little more damage from the skill in general, but I still think amplifying the effects of your curses is going to be a little bit better because she has a lot of effects on her curses, like reducing their defense, their movement speed, decreasing their evasion, all that kind of stuff, so it really adds up. Now we have the life absorb, so I went with the one that increases the recovery amount and then also adds an SP recovery item, so you can get a little bit of SP back if you're kind of running low on that, or if you find that you're having to use a lot of normal attacks to build up your SP. And then here we have randomly makes an attack or defense boost, which is nice as well. So if you find that you don't need the healing boost, then definitely having that extra attack boost would be really nice if you happen to grab that one. And then this increases the maximum hits to 6 and increases the damage, which again is really nice. So if you find that you're not really struggling in survivability with her while you're playing on manual or auto, then I'd probably go with one of the other 2 gears, but I just went with the recovery just so I can use her a little bit more effectively if I decide to use autoplay, or even on manual play if I'm doing one of the harder missions where the enemies can almost like one-shot you with the normal attacks, and I definitely want to be able to heal up as much as possible, but having these increases to damage could be really nice as well for this gear. Finally, her EX skill here, the one that I went with is the one that increases the damage and then also seals their basic attacks again, because like I said, sealing those basic attacks is actually quite nice in both PvE and PvP. And then over here we have the final hit decreases the enemy's defense and evasion, which is also going to be pretty nice because in those harder Unchained missions in the hell difficulty, the enemies just have so much evasion that reducing their evasion can really help to increase your damage just because you're actually landing more hits. And then finally this just reduces the cost of the skill by 15, which like I said, is nice, but I think the other 2 are going to be more valuable than being able to cast a skill a little bit more often. Alright, so now let's actually take a look here. So this one inflicts a curse, and then it deals 40% of your attack power over 8 seconds, and decreases their defense, which is really nice. So that's why I went with this one, because it is one that implies a curse, and then you get some damage over time while reducing their defense. Right here is the one where I increased the gear so that I could get the cast immediately. It doesn't apply a curse, so this is mainly just for kind of crowd control, and also to kind of just draw the enemies together and damage, because it does do really good damage as well, so that's why I have that one there. Over here, the Eternal Curse, like I said, this is just to buff her curses, because this one has the tier level for the curses, level 1, 2, and 3, and then you're going to get evasion decrease. Like I said, that's very valuable in increasing your damage, because I find that they do dodge a lot of your attacks in the harder difficulties. And then also you decrease your defense a little bit more, and then you can deal additional damage based on your power, which is nice as well, so it's just going to keep damaging them over time. So these curses really add up in damage, as in passive damage over time, so even if they don't do a lot of damage from the skill themselves, that passive damage is extremely nice. Then Life Absorption is another one that inflicts a curse, so you could definitely take this out or put this in for the Evil Presence, so that way all of your skills will deal a curse, so you can build up your curse level very, very quickly. And again, this one deals some damage over time, but not nearly as much as the other 2. And then it also decreases defense as well. So since I already have those kind of effects going on, that's why I have that one kind of on the bench right there, and I only switch that one in if I notice that I do need more recovery. And then finally, your EX skill doesn't apply a curse, so it's just a flat out just damage skill, and it does have very good range on it, and it has a lot of hits, but again, it is a little slow to cast, so that's why it can be a little bit annoying in like PvP especially, because the enemy has plenty of time to run away from you and just get right out of range of the skill. So I don't know, it doesn't seem as valuable to me in PvP, since she doesn't really seem like a PvP character to me overall anyway, just because of the length of the cast time on these skills here. Just gives the enemies way too much time to be able to run away from you or cast their skill before you can even get yours off and interrupt you that way. So yeah, just kind of my early impressions on her skills in both PvE and PvP content. So her passives here, I like having the overflowing acceleration because you get your heal every time you activate a skill. It's only a 3% heal, but that definitely helps keeping her alive. And then the destructive fighting spirit, I really like this one right here. If you don't use an EX skill, I think this one is extremely valuable because increasing attack speed is just so nice. It just helps out a lot in the fights. For your normal attacks, for your skills, I don't know, I just really like grabbing this passive whenever I can if I don't see another passive that just screams, I don't know, use me, that one is that much better. And then besides that, all the other ones are decent. This one I also really like. If you find that you're on a harder mission where you can't really get any normal attacks in, then this is definitely going to be a passive that you want to have equipped, because then you can just kite around and you'll always be able to use a skill pretty much. You don't have to worry about getting normal attacks in there or waiting for an opening. The Form of Hatred is nice as well because you're going to be dealing maximum damage for 5 seconds every time you activate this, which it's every 15 seconds. So again, this is going to be good for more difficult stages where you're only going to be getting a few attacks in, then kiting around a few attacks, kiting around, because then you can deal a little bit more burst damage. Finally, the Hostility is going to make it so you do maximum damage to elite enemies. Lasts for 2 seconds, but every time you hit an elite enemy, it will reapply. So pretty much if you're fighting just an elite enemy, this is going to be really nice. So if you're having trouble dealing with the bosses or anything like that, then just throw in this Hostility and hopefully your damage will be bumped up enough that you won't have as much difficulty. Finally, her unique skills here. So her leadership, when you use a skin, you're going to be continually getting SP and EX back, which is nice. I like using this leadership if you know you're going to be having a skin equipped, because that is permanent for that particular character once they switch that skin. But when you switch to another character, of course, that is not going to be transferred over. And then the team member bonus is decreases the SP vampirism of all allies by 24% if you're in one of those areas. And I didn't really look this up, so I'm not 100% sure on what the SP vampirism means. I want to say that it's when those puddles are dropped on the ground that just drain your SP or EX, that it's going to kind of slow that draining process down, which is going to be nice for auto-playing. If you're auto-playing stages where it drains your SP or drains your, well, in this case it's only SP, so the EX doesn't matter, but drains your SP, so you'll be kind of stuck only doing normal attacks. This will at least slow that down so you can get some more attacks off before your SP is completely drained. But again, not going to really prioritize that as a team member bonus unless it means something different, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means, because I'm not sure what else is going to be draining SP, unless it just means from your regular attacks, so just using SP in general to cast your skills, then that would be very valuable. If it is for that, then I would definitely prioritize it, but if it's just for preventing the draining from kind of the stage dot effects, then I don't think it's going to be super useful. Alright, so for covers, we don't really have much built up here, only levels 7 and 8 for the Valorium. So for the Valorium, I did get to pretty close to max on the cooldown reduction, and then SP cost efficiency is up there as well. And then you could kind of see the other stats on her right now, such as kind of how she's built. She hasn't been built up a lot, but I've put some work into her, especially unlocking all of the Valorium slots here. And for the Valorium, the way I see the character is she's kind of a glass cannon, where she's not going to have an insane amount of survivability, but she can get a lot of damage in, especially because of the curses doing that damage over time. So I actually really like building her with attack power here, because all of your curses say they're going to be doing a % of your attack power as damage over time against the enemy. So the higher your attack power, the more damage you're just going to be doing passively over time, which is going to be really helpful for difficult stages. Besides that, defense is going to be really nice on her as well if you're doing a autoplay kind of build, because she, like I said, she feels kind of more like a glass cannon character, even though her kind of skills themselves are not going to do a crazy amount of burst damage, but then that damage over time. So overall, I think she has one of the higher damaging character kind of skill sets in the game, just because of those curses, which are really nice. Alright, so that's the kind of spiel on her skills and Valorium and gear. So now let's get into a little bit of gameplay so we can show her off a little bit. Alright, so here we are at the Streets of Gotham for the Hell Unchained difficulty. We're just going to let her run through here on autoplay so we can see how well she can do that way. As you can see right there, we just used the second skill, and you can see the gear in effect, making that skill cast immediately. So really helping, because normally she would just kind of stand there and, yeah, I don't know, like hold her head for a while, and then it would finally get the skill to actually start doing damage. So definitely a huge difference, and as you can see, the first skill right there, the, gosh, I already forgot all the names of the skills, but anyway, the one she just used right there, it still animates quick enough even without having the gear to increase the cast speed. The Eternal Curse is a little bit slow, but I would still say it's like medium speed compared to her other ones, so it's still pretty nice to use, especially like I said, because you want to get those curse benefits. So as you can see, we are killing them quite quickly because of the damage over time. We have bleeds that are going off, we have the curses going off, so just a lot of passive damage from her skills there. Then just getting the heal from using the skills just helps keep her topped up a little bit, but you will see if she starts actually taking some hits from the enemies, her health isn't going to fare too well. That she takes hits quite badly. She's not very good at absorbing the impact, so yeah, she's going to take damage really fast if you are standing in the middle of enemies and actually getting hit by them. Even just one enemy wailing on her will yeah, decrease her health quite a lot compared to other characters. So I'm just comparing it to other characters, how quickly she seems to die, or how fast and easily she can take damage from the enemies. So as you can see there, we just have the bleeding, the curse is going off, and this health bar is just continually going down. We do have type disadvantage here, so that's why it's taking a little bit longer to kill the boss there. But as you can see, quite easy for her to take on the boss there. She had plenty of damage. The curse is just really helping her out, and that's mainly because the curses are slowing the enemies down, reducing their defense, and also reducing their evasion, which is really nice because I keep stressing that. I see the dodge so much when I'm playing these higher difficulties that evasion just really helps in increasing your damage because you're landing so many more hits. But anyway, that's going to be a little bit of PvE content. So now let's go ahead and jump into some PvP content. Alright, so here we are at the AI battle. We'll go ahead and start this up, and we can get a quick kind of feel for her in PvP here. Looks like we got level 15. Those will probably still all be S rank, so I think we'll be okay. The only thing I did change around were her passive skills, so I do have the one where attacking elite characters does maximum damage, since PvP characters are considered elite characters. And then I do have the increase your attack speed when at max EX. Yeah, they're all level 60, so let's go ahead and let Enchantress just do her thing here on autoplay and see how she can do. Getting frozen by Superman, that's awesome. Alright, so got some of our curses going on him there. Alright, now we got Wonder Woman. So yeah, she's taking quite a bit of damage here, as you can see, but she's dishing out quite a bit of damage at the same time. You can see some of those lingering effects from the curses, putting in a little bit of work there. Nothing too significant. Oh yeah, we got the switch on, I forgot about that. Was just going to heal her up, but apparently Supergirl wants to get a little bit of time here. So it looks like Supergirl. Alright, let's go ahead and switch back. We'll heal Enchantress up, and we'll let Enchantress finish this off. Come on, unfreeze. Alright, there we go. Oh, he managed to switch. And we are now stun locked in the corner. And there we go. Alright, so of course you're going to be doing a lot better when you're playing on manual with Enchantress, but like I was saying, she doesn't seem like too much of a PvP character just because her skills have the really slow startup time, as I've mentioned quite a few times. And she is kind of a glass cannon because she can't really take much in terms of damage or hits, so she will die very quickly. But she can do respectable damage as you were seeing, and then if you get the curse on the enemy, at least you'll be doing damage over time while they're either kiting away from you or you are kiting away from them. So she does have some potential. You just got to get really used to her skill set, so you know exactly when to throw the skills, so you can kind of time it to keep yourself a little safer, kind of anticipate when the enemy is going to be running in towards you, that kind of thing, with her skills, because like I said, they're kind of slow. With the that second skill that I had on there where she creates the vortex being leveled up for the gear and having that cast immediately, though, that makes a huge difference in PvP here, because as you can see, that took away a big chunk of their health when that hit, and not waiting for the skill to actually animate to do damage, very helpful for PvP. But anyway, that's just kind of my initial impressions and thoughts on Enchantress here, and how I personally have found that I like to build her. Of course, go with whatever play style you find best for you. This is just the one that seems to work for me, and I'm not really a PvP player. I've kind of said that in a few of my other videos, so I'm not going to have a complete kind of picture to give you on Enchantress in PvP. This is just kind of my limited experience with her in PvP, and based off of what I've seen from her skills and the skill effects on how I think she would do in PvP, but I haven't really had substantial testing in that area because I mainly just do PvE content, and she seems pretty nice in that area. So anyway, like I said, that's going to be it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.